What's up, everybody? You are listening to SwitchFlicks, the podcast where we love and hate movies at the same time. I'm your host, Omar, and I'm with my favorite nude ghost child. Hi, Sam.
You know,
how's it going?
They say that the eyes are the windows to a soul.
Dude, okay, yes, of course. Yes, they do.
I believe that the butt is the window frame to an asshole.
The rules of the podcast are simple. Haisam and I review something. One of us will have to love it. One of us will have to hate it. And who does what will be determined by the flip of a coin.
The coin of fate?
The coin of fate.
Coin of fate.
The catch is that at any point in our debate, we can use the switch to change positions. So if you loved it, you now hate it. And if you hated it, you now love it. Today, we are reviewing Soul. Let us begin with our patented one-breath synopsis. Any special notes?
No, just
do
it normal.
Just go for it? Okay, here we go. Soul is a 2020 American computer-animated fantasy comedy drama film produced by Pixar Animation Studios and released by Walt Disney Pictures. Directed by Pete Docter and co-directed by Kemp Powers, the film stars the voices of Jamie Foxx and Tina Fey. The story follows a middle school music teacher named Joe Gardner who seeks to reunite his soul and his body after they accidentally separated just before his big break as a jazz musician. Meanwhile, he is forced to mentor an unborn soul who is afraid to be born. In many religious, philosophical, and mythological traditions, the soul is the incorporeal essence of a living being. Soul, or psyche, comprises the mental abilities of a living being. Reason, character, feeling, consciousness, qualia, memory, perception, thinking, etc. Depending on the philosophical system, a soul can either be mortal or immortal. Come at me.
Fantastic.
Come at me.
I just wanted to give people some kind of information about what a soul
also wanted me to pass out.
Mostly that. I'm
Flip
now
the coin.
about to flip the coin of fate. If it lands on heads, you have to love this movie. If it lands on tails, you have to hate it. Here goes nothing. Pixar does it again. I loved this movie. It is emotional, it is deep, it is philosophical, it is funny, and it gets to the heart of what it means to be human, what it means to be alive. This movie is a 10 out of 10 masterpiece.
This movie is depressing. It is dark. It is really sad that we've come to a point in our times that we've had such a horrible year that we need to start teaching children about death and why they should stay alive. Like, really, is that where we're at right now? That we need to convince children that life is worth living?
Yes.
That's horrific, man. Yes?
Yes. I think we have come to a point where people, I think children, we treat them with such kid gloves. I think it's time we told them that your grandma is dead.
That's horrible.
It's time we told them that you were adopted and one day you too will die, probably from an accident or old age because of all that candy you've been having. Okay, Dad? Okay?
Hi, Sam. Huh? You're with me, right?
Sorry, I
just went off for a second. It was the movie.
Yeah, so I liked it.
Soul is just really departure from the types of movies that Pixar used to give us. Such middle-of-the-road hits as Toy Story 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Let me...
And then this whole kind of like the questionable choice of having a white woman enter a black man's body and control it for half the movie. I don't know about that, honestly.
Let's
Lots
talk
of bad decisions here.
Let's talk about all the different aspects that you have talked about, right? For one, Pixar has always done this. It talks about deep issues, right? You clearly need to watch Inside Out to understand that
I've seen Inside Out.
Sometimes it's okay to be sad, right? And we have to deal with that. That's part of being human, right? That's why a movie like this, it's okay that this movie talks about death and it talks about life and it talks about failure. It's fine. It doesn't mean anything don't take it personally.
Yeah, but you know what? If it wants to talk about death, leave that to me to speak to my imaginary child, all right? Leave that to me to teach my imaginary child about what I believe to be the afterlife, okay? Whether it's Christianity, Judaism, or Islam. Who is Pixar to tell my child that there's some weird Buddhist situation where, there's this like hereafter and the here before, and no, there's no God. There's just a bunch of like corporate like administrators. Like what is this?
But
okay, they don't belong. Their opinions, they're liberal. Radical liberal Marxist opinions do not belong in my living room.
Here's the thing. The movie actually is, it's not religious at all. It doesn't talk about the religious aspects of what it means to have a soul. It's
There's reincarnation.
The movie is essentially about life, right? What it's like to kind of, purpose, what it means to have purpose in your life.
How do you know anything about purpose, Haitham?
Purpose.
Who are you to speak of purpose?
I believe it's it's a plural for a porpoise.
Porpoise.
Right?
Purpose.
Purpose. I believe I could be wrong, but that's what I understand, right? And it's done through the first African American protagonist in a Pixar movie. I think it is so great that they're representing all kinds of people, all different races in a Pixar movie, and saying that this whole body switch thing is a problem.
It is a problem. Why would you have this, white Tina Fey character, okay, who invited her to the party, okay, come down and inhabit the protagonist's body? Like, is it not enough to have him be who he is? Does he have to be inhabited by a white woman to make him any more interesting? No, I think that was a terrible choice.
Switch.
Really interesting creative choice that they made, having Tina Fey and Jamie Foxx switch bodies, because what that goes to show is that we live in a time where we no longer speak about, race or sex or any of these. Bless you.
Go again.
You know what it used to be is that when someone sneezes and you say bless you, it's because they believe that your soul flies out through your nose. Yeah. And by saying bless you, it keeps your soul intact inside your head.
Your nonsense is flying out of your ass right now.
Are you going to bless me?
No.
So as I was saying, we live on a spectrum, okay? A spectrum, okay? Very much like you are on the spectrum, as we've discussed before. I was going to make that joke. Right? I was. Now, we live on a spectrum, so race, sexuality, all of that, we need to look beyond that because we all come from the same place.
In this movie, a white woman goes into a black man's body and shows him how to really live his life because he's doing it wrong.
Absolutely not. She just gives him perspective because he becomes a cat. Don't you see the logic in that? He becomes a cat, all right, that is looking at his own body that is inhabited by a demon child from the nether regions that is helping to show him perspective because of the way that
and this
he sees
whole
himself.
Idea of having the first black protagonist and then killing him off in 5 minutes. Black lives matter, okay?
Listen,
Black
buddy. All right,
lives matter,
listen.
And they kill him off in 5 minutes.
Listen, this film, okay, it was refreshing, okay? It was a refreshing...
Depressing.
It was a refreshing and inspiring film because it is not just for children. It is for you and me and everyone who ever had a child inside of them.
I've never had a child inside me. I'm sorry.
We have all been children. We are all children inside. So we are all children, and therefore this is for everyone. Right. Everyone.
I mean, it's not for everyone to have a child inside them.
Well, you have a child inside you. I have a child inside of me.
Really don't. Guys, I just want to make sure that we all know that we do not have children inside us. Now or in the past.
Inside your heart. Okay. You are an adult, right? But that's just your outer form. Really, we are all curious. We are all young. We are all actually, on a global scale of time, on the earth scale of time, on humanity's scale of time, we're all children. We're all here for like a blip, a blink.
But what
Let me finish my point. Okay. We are here for such a brief moment that really we are all children, whether you're 100 years old or 1 year old. And this film is for all of us inside of us.
That's your point. But this movie isn't for actual children. Right? Just like when you have a child inside you, it's for you. It's not for the child. Right? No children will watch this movie and feel entertained. They don't get any of the jokes. The jokes about Mother Teresa and Abe Lincoln. Like, those are the jokes in this movie.
Those jokes were absolutely fine because don't forget, there were so many jokes in Aladdin that referenced pop culture icons at the time. And,
Mother
you didn't
Teresa
have to,
is a pop culture icon.
She dropped an album last year.
This movie is about...
She dropped an album. Haven't you seen her latest TikTok? It's awesome, man. Mother Teresa's on fire right now. So the point is that There are so many examples of cartoons that use cultural icons in a comedic way. And as a child, you didn't need to know who they were. You just thought that they were funny and they were animated
But this
in a funny
movie
way.
doesn't have any jokes for children, right? And it's
How about when a cat is inhabited by the spirit of a human being and is running around and it can speak in English, but everyone else hears it in like meowing around. That was funny. That was very funny. I laughed out loud alone in the theater. Okay? I laughed out loud.
I mean, you weren't alone. You had a child inside you.
None of us is ever really alone because we all have a child inside of us. I feel like we're talking about two different things. I'm not really sure.
No. Anyway, let's get back to this movie. The movie also has a huge problem where it doesn't really know what it's about. The movie is so overstuffed with ideas, philosophical ideas, that it spreads itself too thin. Is it about, life after death? It is about living life to the fullest. Is it about following your dreams? Is it about failure? What is this movie really about?
Switch.
What is life about? What does it all really mean?
I don't know.
Why are we here?
Why?
These are the questions that I ask myself constantly. Mm-hmm. And like that, this movie represents those questions that we have. It has so many questions because life is full of questions.
This movie left me with so many questions. It left me wondering who the hell wrote this script. It was so bonkers. Who decided to sign off on this? Failure of a film. Who actually agreed to present this to the world like it was actually supposed to be on par with other Pixar animated features? Who?
I think that this movie completely, stands tall among all the masterpieces that Pixar has made. It is in the same league as Up. It is in the same league as Inside Out. It is in the same league.
Upside Down.
It is in the same league as WALL-E. What are you going to say about that? I think this...
Folly.
I think that this is one of Pixar's best, by one of their best directors, Pete Docter, who also did do...
Whoever... And this doctor person, okay? Where are his credentials? Okay, that's what I want to know. Okay, you can't go around calling yourself a doctor.
He's a doctor of philosophy.
A doctor, okay? Pete Docter, like... Omar director or Haysam writer.
Yeah.
What if we all went around putting our name before our profession like that? That would be
he's
a
not
very
a doctor.
confusing.
That's not his profession.
That would be a very confusing world that we would live in.
Sure, what are you
okay,
trying
but
to
that's just as an aside. All right, that's a little segue for you, just to throw it in the mix.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here is, I think, one of the things about this movie that why I loved it and you didn't. Right? You are an emotionally vacant, soulless person who does not cry during movies or ever, right? And so you don't understand what it means to have emotions.
Look, we've discussed this before, right? And I don't appreciate that you're throwing this in my face right now, you blubbering fool, okay? Just because you turn the taps on anytime something happens on screen.
I don't do that. Why would you say that?
Doesn't mean that I'm abnormal for being, more emotionally stable, okay? No. You neurotic mess.
I think this movie really kind of gets into the heart of what it means to be human, and that affected me, and it didn't affect you because you're not really human. And I think that's where the difference between how I felt about this movie and what you felt about this movie. This movie made me cry, and it would make anybody with a heart, even if a small one, cry.
Once you come down to it, okay, you had this 22 spirit child thing, okay? Comes down to earth. First of all, total brat, okay? Total piece of crap, all right? Can I say shit? Total piece of shit, okay? Little spirit, okay? Number 22, that means that she was the 22nd spirit ever to be created.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a privilege.
It's a child.
Okay? That is not a child. That is older than all of humanity combined.
Right.
Okay? That is a demon.
So what are you trying to say?
I'm saying that, first of all, thankless creature, okay, doesn't come down to earth ever.
Yeah.
Okay. And then is convinced to come down to earth. And guess why she falls in love with Earth? Because she ate pizza.
Yeah.
Consumerism, capitalism, Americanism. This is all packaged together. She might as well have gone to Walmart and looked at a bunch of stuff on the. She eats a pizza, and her hedonistic sensuality comes out. So we've got drugs. Yeah. We've got sex. We've got rock and roll. All right, all packaged together and sold to our children.
What you're describing is a character arc. Yes, she starts off as somebody who does not want to come to Earth and doesn't understand the joys, and then through a character arc changes at the end of the movie. And it's about enjoying the little things in life. Just ask that child that inside you.
Well, I really, really do think that we've come to the natural conclusion of this debate. Let me ask you, Haitham, what did you really think about Soul?
I really liked it. I'm not going to go as far as to say that I loved it. But
did you cry?
I did, of course.
Oh, you did, of course.
Of course I cried. I'm not going to go as far as I said, especially in the Pixar pantheon of films. It's kind of in the middle.
Better than Toy Story.
Okay.
Clearly, we can agree on that, right?
Make me cry again.
It's better than all the Toy Stories, right?
All of them.
All of them.
Okay.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to say I loved it because I haven't been to the movie theater that often this year.
Yeah.
Maybe a handful of times. And, one of the times was New Mutants. So that was a really sad experience for me, you know? And this was just such a joyful experience. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I felt it was emotionally on point. It made me kind of laugh. It didn't make me cry, but I understood where it should have.
You understood why a regular human being would cry,
yes. I love the fact that it showed, a black jazz musician lead character who was celebrating, music and was celebrating creativity. And then it went into the idea of he thought that the spark is someone's purpose. And that when I was watching this, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be able to argue that, your spark can't be your purpose. I mean, what kind of an attitude is that? Like, why do we need to have a purpose? Like, what, But then at the end, it resolved itself and it became that, no, your spark is not your purpose. No. It's just what makes you you. It's your joy or your curiosity or the thing that is almost indescribable. Your spark, your life spark,
And I really love that Pixar manages to find things that aren't just kind of like the pat, moral of the story that these kind of movies usually have, right?
Yeah, it doesn't have
they're really getting into something that is unique, not just for children's film, but like for any film. And it kind of really makes you think. And we didn't talk about the music. I think the music's great.
And the music there were two layers of music, right? Yeah. So there was the jazz music.
Yes.
Right? Which was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, just so good, And then there was the soundtrack, which was, composed by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, which is like this, kind of atmospheric and electronic-y and kind of like, it was such an interesting mix that like, I was like, this is working really beautifully. And I didn't realize that it was Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross until the end. And then I was like, wow, really impressed because that's a bold choice for a Pixar movie.
Pixar jazz film. You don't even think that's how you would put in there, right? But it really works. And I think the animation is just so beautiful how it just changes from all the different kind of types of animation.
I joked about it, but it did actually kind of remind me a little bit of the, Into the Spider-Verse approach. Not stylistically, but just the idea that you could mix different styles of animation into one movie and come up with something really kind of interesting and vivid. You had the line animation. You then had like the
kind of 2D thing going, and then
you
the
then
3D,
you then had like the
colors
before area, the great before,
the black and white and the use of color, everything about it.
And then you had that you had so many different places and different layers of animation, which was really, really cool. And then the message at the end. So I was wondering whether he was going to allow himself to die.
Yes.
At the end.
Which was like I was wondering the whole time, right? And I think the fact that you could watch a quote unquote children's film and have that be convinced that he's probably going to be dead by the end of it. Yeah. I think that's kind of a massive triumph.
Bold. It was a
Right?
very bold choice. Like just like having Atticus, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Like the idea, the whole core of the film is pushing animation that you would want to bring your children to into a place that it never really goes. Like the questions of life and death and beyond and before and humanity and what it means to be alive. Like, holy crap! Like I would imagine, like if a 6-year-old watched this. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the effect.
I don't know.
As a 6-year-old, what do you think?
I think that I want you to stop telling me to be inside you. But I think that...
You'll always be a part of me, Haysam.
I think, as a 6-year-old or as a child, you wouldn't really understand a lot about what the movie is talking about.
But you'll get some glimpses.
I think you would. And I think the important thing is it would leave you with a lot of questions and it'd make you think, right? Even as a child. Awesome. And I think that's what's amazing about it.
I'm certain, I don't know when this movie first started development or production, but I'm sure it was a few years ago, It's just so interesting that it happens to come out at a time when people need to be reminded of the value of life because so many people had such a difficult year.
And I think the movie isn't depressing, right? I think we kind of talked about it being sad and depressing,
it's not sad,
but
it's joyful.
It never is. It's always fun and it's joyous. And even the message, even though it's about death, it's more about life, right? It's not about dying. It is about kind of, enjoying the things in life that truly matter, to put it kind of in a pat sentence. I think it's a spiritual successor to Inside Out, really. And overall, I would recommend it. I would highly recommend watching this movie.
Me too. How many jazzy piano riffs would you give it?
Like a 8, 7.9.
Yeah, me too. I'd give it 7.98.
Yeah.
Wow, you're being very splitting hairs there, but
yeah. I think
I'll give it an 8.1.
So then I give it a 7.9.
Okay, sounds great. Well, thank you for listening to SwitchFlicks. If you loved or hated the show, please do rate, subscribe, leave some comments, and we'll talk to you soon.